In preparation for the release of Star Wars Jedi Survivor, I've been wanting to hone my lightsaber skills, and I have to say, there's almost too many Star Wars games to choose from. The behemoth that is the Star Wars franchise includes at least 100 games, 15 movies, 21 TV shows, and countless books, comics, and toys. Buckle into your pod racer because we have a lot of ground to cover. A New Hope came out in theaters in 1977, and it only took 5 years before the Parker brothers, best known for giving the world Monopoly, thanks for ruining so many friendships, saw Star Wars' potential and released the first ever Star Wars video game, Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back. The scrolling shooter game takes place in the middle of the Battle of Hoth, where you play Luke Skywalker in a snowspeeder, guarding the rebel base for as long as possible. The game was an immediate hit among fans for its graphics, unique color scheme, and fast-paced action, but critics panned it as tedious and repetitive. Despite the mixed reception, the game launched the Star Wars franchise into a whole new world, the world of video games. By virtue of the sheer number of Star Wars video games, we soon run into a situation where the good, the bad, and the ugly are all released at around the same time. 1983 saw the release of several games including Star Wars Jedi Arena and an arcade game literally titled Star Wars. Jedi Arena took the training scene of a blindfolded Luke blocking zaps from a flying seeker ball to a whole new pixelated and somewhat boring level. The game Star Wars, on the other hand, reenacts Luke's iconic run on the Death Star. While Jedi Arena floundered, the game Star Wars struck a chord with gamers and critics alike. It was praised for its smooth animation and heart-pounding action. Plus, it helps that the game highlights one of the franchise's most iconic scenes. The 1983 game Star Wars also began the unfortunate trend of every single gaming studio creating their own take on the films, then titling their game Star Wars. Within the first 10 years, Atari, Namco, and LucasArts all released games under that name. The market was quickly saturated with Luke Skywalker's saving the galaxy on everything from a traditional arcade box to the Game Boy. In the early 90s, George Lucas, firmly understanding the extent of the cash cow he was sitting on, decided to stop licensing video games rights to third-party developers and only create games through his studio, LucasArts. They warm up by releasing the NES game Star Wars, not to be confused with Star Wars, or Star Wars, before publishing their first major success, Super Star Wars. Super Star Wars follows Luke on adventures roughly mirroring A New Hope. The 16-bit animation and sheer number of bad guys intrigued players and made Super Star Wars an immediate success. While the game hits on major plot points, it keeps Luke far busier than the movie. One memorable addition is a battle between Luke and a Sarlacc during his first mission, and with no bikini-clad Leia in sight. Storyline is sacrificed for the sake of gameplay, but honestly, that's the right decision. The game is action-packed and surprisingly diverse for what's ostensibly a run and gun. Several levels are dedicated to Luke controlling a land speeder or X-Wing, and certain stages allow you to play as Han Solo or Chewbacca. The game blew audiences away when it first came out, and it still holds up today. Following the success of Super Star Wars, LucasArts released similar adaptations of Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi for various consoles. At this point, the vast majority of Star Wars video games have direct tie-ins to the original trilogy. However, more than 20 years after A New Hope hit theaters, it's clear that the world of Star Wars is much bigger than Luke and Leia. The release of X-Wing for the PC in 1993 is the first time a Star Wars game stepped away from the movies and introduced players to characters and cultures not seen in the trilogy. The evolution continued with TIE Fighter in 1994. The fast-paced game centers around a pilot fighting for the Empire following the attack on Hoth. The game, reminiscent of a flight simulator, includes large-scale space battles and multiple campaigns. Like X-Wing, the game limits energy, which must be spread across shields, weapons, and your ship's engines. This introduction of resource management sets the groundwork for the increasingly complex games to come. While the game focuses heavily on space combats, you're still given the opportunity to walk around and interact with other members of the Empire's rank and file. The game provides nuance to the original trilogy's Empire bad, Rebels good mindset, and gives players the sense that they're diving deeper into the lore. Plus, everybody likes to play a baddie sometimes, let's be real. LucasArts then proceeds with a number of hits and misses for the rest of the 90s. The great, or at least pretty goods, include Star Wars Dark Forces in 1995, and its sequel, Star Wars Jedi Knight Dark Forces 2. The Dark Forces series solidified the role of first-person shooters in the Star Wars gaming universe, or SWGU, SWGU. That doesn't really roll off the tongue. While on the surface, 1995's Dark Forces looked like just another ripoff of Doom, it added multi-floor levels and a wide range of movement options while giving first-person shooters a graphical facelift. Dark Forces also introduced the beloved recurring protagonist Kyle Katarn, a former Imperial officer turned mercenary, working with the Rebel Alliance. Katarn goes on to appear in 4 more video games, several books, and he even got his own toy. Sadly, we won't see Katarn in any movies or TV shows. Our roguish hero was decanonized following Disney's purchase of Lucasfilms. But both Cassian Andor in Rogue One and Finn in episodes 7 through 9 took over the bulk of Katarn's story. It's a disappointing end for a character nicknamed the Chuck Norris of Star Wars, but fun fact, Kyle Katarn's partner was named Jan Ors, which sounds suspiciously like Jyn Erso, and Andor even uses Kyle's signature blaster in his Disney Plus show. So I guess we do have a sort of version of Kyle Katarn. The same year as Dark Forces 2, LucasArts released the lackluster Shadow of the Empire, followed by the laughably bad Yoda Stories for Game Boy Color. The game can be summed up as Star Wars Karate Kid Edition. Yes, the tasks are repetitive, but there's something delightful about hanging out with Yoda and doing his chores. Fighting game Masters of Teräs Käsi came next, and while the game was near universally panned, it's remembered as an endearing, silly addition to the Star Wars franchise. Teräs Käsi even got a mention in the Solo movie. As we approach Y2K, we delve into prequel territory. And it's safe to say that the games released during this time are as strange as the movies that inspired them. Star Wars Episode 1 Racer was fun to play after school, but at the end of the day, it's just Mario Kart in space. Racer is now available on the Switch if you're feeling nostalgic, by the way. Jedi Power Battles, Battles for Naboo, and Obi-Wan's Adventures quickly followed. While the games aren't terrible, they also aren't really that memorable. Though I have to say, Bounty Hunter was by far my favorite from this era. Getting to play as Jango Fett preceding the events of Attack of the Clones? Yes, thank you. LucasArts moves away from the prequels and we enter the golden age of Star Wars video games. 2002 saw the return of Kyle Katarn in Jedi Knight 2, Jedi Outcast. In this game, Katarn pursues the path of the Jedi and dishes out vengeance with style. Star Wars Galaxies was released soon after and was hailed as a revolutionary MMO with a player-based economy and a wide range of stat combinations. While the game did have some balance issues, it undoubtedly helped define the MMO genre. That same year saw the release of one of the greatest Star Wars games in existence, Knights of the Old Republic. Taking place 4,000 years before the movies, the RPG follows a Jedi Knight and their companions as they fight off a Sith armada with a compelling storyline, sound design, and player choice. Knights of the Old Republic achieved universal adoration from Star Wars fans. LucasArts continued to deliver with Star Wars Battlefront in 2004 and Star Wars Republic Commando in 2005. The Battlefront games are remembered as the shining example of Star Wars games at its best, letting you take the role of almost every troop in the franchise. And Star Wars Republic Commando, I know we're not getting a sequel at this point, but why would you leave us on a cliffhanger if you're not gonna tell us the rest of the story? It sucked. That same year, Star Wars joins the ranks of other franchise behemoths like Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings with the release of LEGO Star Wars. LEGO games are always a hit, but the Star Wars version is exceptional for its ability to combine whimsy with surprising depth. Sadly, all good things come to an end. As Star Wars marched steadily into the aughts, the franchise struggled to keep its momentum and was eventually sold to Disney in 2012. Not exactly known as a video game powerhouse, Disney partnered with EA Games to develop future video games. They released a reboot of Battlefront in 2016 and Battlefront 2 in 2017, which gave players the chance to play classic characters like Darth Vader and Jango Fett amidst sweeping, large-scale battles. When Battlefront 2 first released, fans were furious with the exploitative loot box system that EA had implemented. Even hardcore players would struggle to unlock even basic heroes like Luke and Darth Vader. While the game got better with time, for many people, it was the final straw. For almost 10 years, EA has had exclusive rights to make Star Wars games, an exclusivity that has only been recently lifted. In 2021, Disney announced that it has re-established LucasArts under the new name Lucasfilm Games. The only game announced so far under that branding will be Star Wars Eclipse, developed at Quantic Dream. But that doesn't mean EA has thrown in the towel. In 2019, EA Games released Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. The game takes place a few years after Revenge of the Sith. You play as a surviving Padawan named Cal Kestis, who wants to rebuild the Jedi Order. With challenging Souls-like gameplay and a compelling storyline, it quickly became one of the best Star Wars games of this decade. Cal's storyline will continue with Star Wars Jedi Survivor, and I can't wait to see what he's up to next. But I'm not looking forward to going out of my way to just get new poncho colors. Like, EA, please, just work with me here. I want something better than just, hey, you want to have a pink one now? Star Wars has come a long way from an arcade box. We've graduated from the flying training droid, and we are now ready to go and save the galaxy. I've been Kino. May the Force be with you, gamers.